How was your Sunday? Hope you went to church.
Yeah, I'm sure I did. It went well. How about yours?
Yeah, it went well. Thank God. So, all right. I hope our week was also okay. At least down to the weekend, we had some time to rest, some bit of time to do some practice here and there. I hope you did that.
Yes, please.
All right. That's noted. So from our last discussion we had with Emmanuel, we were able to cover up some notable parts of JavaScript that talked about loops, control statements, switch statements, and some other things in between. So today is kind of the official, did I say, yeah, the last class that we're going to be having for this program, which is going to center around completing everything we talked about on JavaScript. So today marks the third week of JavaScript, which also marks the end of the class. So from the upper week, which is next week, we'll be doing a review of projects. So I'm going to show some projects that we can choose to pick out. You can do all of them. There are 4 projects. You can do all of them totally fine. But at least you need to be able to pick out one project from the list and try to work out that project the best way you can. So upper week will just come, we'll have a discussion, review the projects, make a little bit of adjustments here and there. Then if you need help to push it to GitHub, or you need help in terms of you are trying to do something and it's not working, then we can have that discussion with each and every person on the call. Then after that, we'll hand over to Mole to do the needful afterwards. So after today, we'll be having a call. We'll start explaining everything in terms of outline. So we know that you will not still understand the whole concept as of this time, you understand? But the basics that you've learned so far from our call should be enough for you to take a look at those projects. And if maybe there's something that is mentioned in the project that is not, that was not taught by either myself or Emmanuel, those are things that you have to just take a look at learning more, because the learning does not end here. It continues further down the line. Even me, sometimes I still have to learn about some things in JavaScript, you understand. So learning does not end, it still continues every time. So I'm going to show the project now and do some little bit of explanation on some of them. Anyone that you feel like this one is looking tedious or is not too clear, still let me know. If not, I think we'll just take on from the outlines. Let me share my screen and pick up the projects that we have. Can you see my screen? Can you see my screen?
I can see your screen.
All right.
Yes, I can see your screen.
Okay. So these are 4 projects that was outlined for us to work with at the end of the day. They are not projects that like you have to build a website kind of. They are projects that if I say you can't build the websites, most cases you work with HTML, CSS, and possibly may not work with JavaScript for building a website or a portfolio. You just work with HTML, CSS, nothing much. But if I say build a project like, let's say, an interactive quiz, it's kind of a little bit complex in a way, in such a way that you have to do some HTML, some bits of CSS, and good JavaScript. In the sense that making use of functions, array methods, like the way it's written here, string methods, DOM manipulation. So these things is going to help you sharpen your JavaScript knowledge, such that you're not just doing HTML and CSS alone. You're also making some JavaScript. That is the most important part of the front end. So that is why the project was structured in a way that it helps you to also make use of certain JavaScript concepts and tools. So that's why we listed it out here, just to give you some clarity. So the first one is the interactive quiz app. That the key concept on this quiz app is a DOM manipulation, which everybody will make use of. I'm going to explain DOM manipulation on this call today and explain certain things around the call today. We'll build a mini project right now so that we understand how you can go ahead and build some other projects as well. Then this project, instead of the quiz, will be showing the display questions and also update your scores in real time. Then we make it the functions. The functions should be able to answer the question and also move around the questions. Then you're making use of some array methods like map and filters. So do some querying or searching around your list array. Then your string methods that are going to make use of is just some lower cases and to trim. I'll show you some of these things on a small project that I'm going to do on this call. So for the features of this project, it's going to be a list of questions stored in an array of objects. I think we've done an array, and I wanted to talk about objects. I think we did, but we'll have those conversations on this call. Never mind. Then for the navigation buttons, we'll be looking at some next and previous buttons, just like that. Let me not explain too much. Just go through it. Then you can ask me questions still. So for the to-do list app, this is the one that I'm going to be practicing with on the call. I'll just drop something out. I will try as much as possible to finish it. I don't want to finish it. So that in case you pick it as your own project, you can complete it. If I finish it, it's just for you to go and give me and say, I did this one. So I'll try to do it to a point intentionally so you can finish it. That is if you choose it. But if you want to be ambitious, like I want to do something else that I did not do, then you can pick the other three that I won't be touching. So this is a word scramble game. It still makes use of the DOM manipulation functions, array methods, string methods as well. Then this is like a description of what the game would do and how to do, how the whole flow would work. Then there's an expense tracker. The expense tracker, you talked about DOM. In fact, everything is about these four concepts: DOM manipulation functions, array and string methods. Then how the app works in terms of the inputs and everything in bonus side and whatever. So this is just the four projects that you'll be working on for this week. So before I forget, I would just go to our chats and paste the link there. I'll still draw some content in terms of what to do and how to go about it on the call. So let me take a look at the outline for today. But before I take a look at the outline today, is there any question in terms of you saw what we did, but you don't understand? Do you have any question on the projects? Binta, Cyril?
No question for now.
Are you thinking about it to be like, how will it be like? Or you're not thinking about it yet?
Yeah, I've started thinking about it. And
Oh.
of course, I'm not going to do the to-do list because it's something we are doing already. I would want to explore that thing.
I like that. So, see, what are you looking at? There are some thinking.
Yeah, I'm still thinking. So
All right, no problem. All right, let me, I think my screen went off. Let me share again. Okay, so from our outline that we started with last week, there's a couple of things that Emmanuel touched, so I would have to just check it later. I think we're done with functions, even though I'm going to touch it on this call, but let us say we're done with it. We're done with arrays. I remember I was on the call when he talked about it, and loops as well. So I can't remember if you talked about JavaScript and the browser. So we'll just start from here, which is number 9 or module 3. Then we'll work it down to DOM manipulations. Then we'll touch events. Then we'll go directly to our interactive app, which is the to-do list app that we are going to be working on today. So for the other things, it's just some developer tools, writing clean and readable codes, of which we are going to also talk about in our to-do list setup. So let's just kickstart without wasting much time. So let's go. So I'm guessing by this time we have our setup correctly done for week 7. So you can see I've been following up every week 1 down to week 7. So if this was a grading system, I'm sure that most people will not even have this setup like this I have. But nevertheless, let's just follow what I have so I can keep track of everything that happened from week 1 down to week 7. So on week 7, I created a little bit of practice text. I didn't do a guide today like I was always doing because I'm working on a project, so I didn't go that to do a guide. So I'm just trying to maintain the outline that we did and also the practice of little bits. I'm giving something like a preamble before the project so that you understand certain things before we start working about the project. So on this notes, I'm going to be creating my script where my JS is going to live. So I don't want to write my JS inside the HTML over here. So let me just, for the sake of popular practice, I think I should just make this an index.html instead of practice. So call this index.html, then I have my script.js. For this setup, I don't need CSS right now, so I can leave it out. So I'll just quickly come to my index.html, then initialize my doc type and everything like we've been doing since. So this is it, is set up. So I can call the title something else. Let's say I call it practice on this call. So let's say practice week 7. Sorry, week 7. What's happening to my W? Okay. So we'll call it practice week 7. My system is not hanging today. Is hanging means I need to put off so many things. Okay. So for this week, we'll be looking at what we outlined here, which is about the window objects, then talked about alerts, prompts, and confirmations, then console logging and debugging. I think my system is hanging. Let me try to clear out some apps that I have opened. If not, the call is going to be dragging forever. I think I'm sharing my video, so it's collecting too much resources at this time. Hold on. Let me just close something. Hold on, I'm trying to clear some VS Code I have opened and some browser that I have opened so I can save some space. What's happening? I need to see my I'm sharing, but can you see my video?
Yes, I can see.
Okay. On this story, this system decided to just become slow today.
Apologies, guys. Elvis would be joining back soon.
Can you hear me now? Can anybody hear me? All right. So I had to just close up the entire apps I have so that I can move around freely. I think it's better now. Let me share again. Let me know if you can see my screen.
Yes, I can see from my end.
All right, awesome. So let me just go to what I was doing before the sluggishness started. So we're looking at the index of HTML. We want to take a look at some common Windows setup. But the first thing that I want to take a look at today, I'll put it in comments so we just get to see it. So is alerts. We just take a look at alerts so we can get that done fast. Then we'll take a look at prompts. That'll be number 2. So we'll take a look at prompts. This is not ChatGPT prompts, by the way. So take a look at prompts. Then we'll take a look at confirm, which is the third one. So let's take a look at alert. So alert is a very simple setup. So we'll just look at something that we're going to do some embedding of JavaScript inside the button, just that we can be fast about it. We can also have this done in JS. I will see if I can show all of that in a bit. So let's take a look at this. Just gives me automatic setup. So let me just make use of it so we can be fast about it. Since we're looking at Windows object, I think it's better to just show up all of this easily. I think it's already making my work easy for me. So let me run this code on the browser. Go on live server and close this. So we have alert, we have a prompt, we have a confirm, we have set local storage, and we have get local storage. So most of all these things will not be too clear, but when we start making use or when we start building the interactive app, it's going to make some sense. But I want to give you like a concept around it such that when we start working with it, it will not be looking strange. So for the alerts that we did, we kind of embedded everything inside the body of our HTML. We didn't make use of the JavaScript parts for the sake of time. I think we've only used 30 minutes from our time already. So we have like 1 hour, 30 minutes more. So I'm trying to be fast about today. So for the alerts, we're going to pop up an hello world when we click on the show alerts button. So that's what alerts basically just do. You can see hello world. So this most of the time is not used in modern day development as much as it was used back then. But people still make use of it at certain time, but I'm not sure it's that common like that. I'm not sure it's that common. But for the sake of the course and where we are right now, I'm going to make use of it. But going forward, when you start building a proper app, you're going to make use of what we call either a toast card. A toast card is just a name. It's just a simple alert that comes up on the top right of a page. So we call it a toast card, or people call it an alert card, or whatever. So that's just what we're going to be using like on a proper project. But for now, I'll just show a pop-up of an alert card, which is the one we just showed here, hello world. Then for the prompts, the prompt pops up and asks you to put in a data to it. So it's asking for my name, and I can say my name is Elvis. And if I click on OK, it takes that Elvis, and I can use that input to do something else. So that's what an alert does. Unlike the show alert that just pops up a message, the show prompt pops up a question, and you have to respond with an answer, or you can cancel leave a like. Then the confirm kind of pops up a question, but this time we are not going to put in an input. I'm just going to ask you a question that you can either select true or false. So selecting on OK means it's a true, selecting on cancel means it's a false. So that's just what the confirm does. The question that don't require an input for an answer. Then set local storage and get local storage is basically just doing something like this. This one you can't get to see it here, but what we did here is that when we click on local storage or set item, we set item of name John into the local storage. So how do we get to see what was set into local storage? So we'll go to our developer tools. So for developer tools, you click on these ellipses here. When you click on it, then you go down to the more tools. So when you go to more tools, you get to see developers. I think I talked about this the last time I had a call with you guys. So when you get to developer tools, it pops up a sidebar over here. Then you click on this section, this double caret left, or you can stretch it. If you stretch it to see everything, you don't need to click on double caret anymore. But if you don't want to stretch it, then you have to click on double caret. Then you're going to see application. So when you see application, you click on application over here, you will see local storage data. So because I've stored item into the local storage, I will see my local storage, that is my local app, which is loading on 127.0.0.0.1. This is this URL over here. Then the ports is 5500. So I can see my local app ports and my local app domain. So if I click on it, it pops up the local storage for me. So I saved a name called John to my local storage. And if I want to fetch that name called John, I will still do local storage or get item, and I'll get that name called John from the whole setup. Then it can pop up and everything in between. So like I said, I won't bother to talk about this in depth because I'm going to be working with it as we build our app. You understand? But just take a look at what we did today. Alert, prompt, confirm, local storage. We're going to work on this on the app, so don't worry too much. I'm trying to just try to buy us some time. The next thing we're looking at is the DOM manipulation. So for DOM manipulation, event listeners, you know what? I think we should just go right into the development of the app such that we will make use of the DOM manipulation properly and also take a look at event listeners properly. I think that makes sense. I think that makes sense. All right, so who do we have on the call newly? We have Queen B. Okay, welcome. So let's just go to the app so we don't waste much time today. So let's get that set up. So still on our week 7, we create a folder for our to-do app. So we'll call it to-do app, something like this. Create a folder like this. I can close all these guys. I don't need them anymore. So I'll go to my to-do app. So my to-do app, I'll be needing an index.html file, and I'll need a style.css file, and one more, I will need a script.js file, which is the 3 files that I will need throughout this program. So for the index.html file, I need to instantiate that by setting up my doc type. Good. Then I'll just change the title to do app, something like this. Good. So because I'm making use of my style and script file, I will need to have those imported into the index.html. So my Copilot is already doing the work for me, so I can just tab it. So I think that's like a new way of coding these days where everything just comes easy. So, but I didn't type my styles to be a plural, so I will just remove this X, sorry. I'll remove the X so you can match what I named it here as style.css instead. Then my rel always important, which is called a style sheet. So I'll do the same thing for my scripts. You can see it has populated for me already. So I'm having script.js over here. Then I can put that other attribute that I told you about, which is the type. Then I think that's type of, what did they call it again? I think it's source. You know what, let me just leave it. I've forgotten how the type. I think it will still work that way, so let's not worry about that. So let's just confirm quickly what we have showing. So we'll do a lorem 100. Then let's run this on a local server. All right, good. So we have our app showing. Then you can see there's a bit of margins at the edge and the top of our screen. So for us to fix that, we need to do a reset of the body. So it's just general thing that I normally do with your CSS, just call it a reset. So I'll take my CSS and I'll open it by the side, which is going to be shown by the side here. So we can be looking at two things at the same time. So for that, I'm going to use a global style. So in CSS, this asterisk here means I'm trying to style everything on the app at that point in time. I want to have talked about this, but let me just quickly ship it in. It's going to be like a global selector, basically, that can be used to style everything generally. So instead of me to style the body, I'll just style generally everything. So if I go back to my app now, and over here, you see that it's supposed to remove, yeah, I don't have that padding at the side and that top area too as well. So I'm working with the right 100 pixels of width and 100 pixels of height. So there's no extra edge that is kind of showing up at the edge for me. So I'm able to do the resets with what I have here right now. So I can also do some other things in the resets in this global selector over here. I can set the fonts family globally. I can say, okay, I want the font family to be, let's say I'm working with, I think I like this Korea, but we'll test it and see if it's fine. If it's not fine, we'll just change it. Then fonts family Korea, blah, blah, blah. Then let's say we're working with that. Then let's say we're working with, what else? So let's just get started. So let's go to our body. So for our body, we'll just change the background color. So something of, let's say we're giving it this color instead of a white background. So we're going to make our container. Looking at this fonts family, I don't think I like it. I think you're looking like typewriter kind of fonts family. Let's change it to something else. Let's just do area. Let's see. Area is not bad. It's not bad. Let's go with area. I think it's okay. So we can also change the color of everything that we're going to be doing universally. So by default, all the colors on the web page are supposed to be black. So I don't want it to be black. So I want it to be a little bit, let's say, in the grayish, darkish gray area. Let's see what it gives us. I want it to be a little bit dark, but not black. So I'll leave it as this. I think this is a little bit dark. So let's see. I think it's okay. Let's see if we can play with some line heights such that there's space when we're having congested text. So for that, let's say we'll do something around 18 pixels. Let's see what happens. Let me see if I make it something bigger and see if there'll be change. Okay, no worries, let's just leave it. We'll put it on the paragraph text itself. So let's leave it as this. So just have the margins. We set the fonts family, we set the colors, paddings, and both size. We also set the background. This is not white. You can confirm. I have one. I think I was having one color picker extension. I think it has gone on. I don't want to bother to download that again. So let me see if it's this. No, it's not. No, well, let us leave it. I wanted to just confirm that the color is not white, but I don't think I have that strength to do that. Quickly, we can confirm that by changing the color to something else. Let's say we'll do a red. Yeah, so it's actually changing to that color that we gave it. Click it back. So we have our colors. We have everything we need. So we need to also give the body a, no, let's not give the body a height. Let's just go back to our HTML and do some work. So we're going to give, let's say we're going to do it. So do container. This is just me setting class name. So I don't know if I talked about it the last time when we were having a call. So for me to set a class name, I can do a div just like this, like we did before, and call me and do a class then put a class name inside of a div and say to do wrapper. This is all the class name that I want to set. This is also fine. Or I can come here and just do a dot. So do wrapper. Then if I click on this highlight showing over here, it's going to give me what I initially typed. So this is all like a shortcut. So I don't need to start typing divs and do the whole coding myself. So I have my to-do wrapper. I can say, first of all, let's put this guy here inside the to-do wrapper. I'm going to take it out in a bit. So I'm going to go to, sorry, let me confirm something. I think CSS was talking about a nested wrapper, a nested styling. I don't know, I haven't tested I don't write direct CSS most of the time. I normally do write SAS. SAS is just like a little bit of extended CSS that gives you some functions, some customizations in terms of how you work with your styles. But I think CSS kind of gave an announcement one time that are looking at a nested styling. But let me just confirm and see if that's possible. So for my to-do wrapper, I'm going to set, let me just give it a width quickly. I want to test something, so just crave my indulgence. So I'm doing 20 pixels for the width. I'm not sure it's going to work. I'm not sure it's going to work. I don't think they've implemented it yet. I'm still having all this. It's not highlighting it to us, so I'm not sure it will work. So let me know about wasting time. So let us try it as a basic CSS. So we have to do wrapper. Good. So for the wrapper, we would possibly give the wrapper a full width of 100%. Then we'll give it a height of, we can call it 100%, or we'll call it 100 viewport height. So let me talk about this before I progress. So for me to show you clearly, I'll put a border around it so it is visually seen. So we'll do solid red. So let's go back to our browser. So if you take a look at my screen right now, I have my to-do wrapper, which is a full width of 100% and a full height of 100 viewport height. Now, you might be wondering, why didn't I just do 100% for my height? Let's see what happens. So 100% of this particular content here is the content height. So if the content is 20 pixels or whatever, that means the 100% height is not going to be the total content inside the container. It's going to assume that that is the 100% height. So if I come here and let's say I make this content, I just duplicate it, the content is going to stretch. So when it stretches the 100% of the 100% height of that wrapper extends that to-do wrapper as well. You get? So this is what I have here. You can see the more I keep extending this particular content, the more the 100% wrapper height keeps stretching. But I don't want it to stretch by the content. I want it to just assume the full height of my viewport. So what I can see here, like this screen that I can see here, that you can see on your browser, is the viewports. This is the viewport interface. You understand? Anything beneath this my screen, they call it below the fold. If you start working on design, you start hearing me, product manager or some other front engineer talking about items below the fold. Like if you're working on, let me say you go to a website similar to, let me just try to bring out one website. Let me take a look at Techhaven website. I think there's something I can show you there. Is it? So this particular website now, this section over here is what you call the hero section. You understand? Most designers would design this hero section to get to the ending of this viewport heights, such that anything you get to see, like when you start seeing things like available courses, this available courses comes up below the fold. But most of the time, it's kind of either they do it that way or they just maintain the normal way. So let me just go back to what I was talking about. Sorry for the digression. So going back to what we have, I don't want it to extend to start assuming the height of my content. I want it to just be the height of the viewports. So for me to show the height of the viewports, I'll just set it to 100 viewport height. I can also as well change the width to 100 viewports width, which is VW, and it will still work the same way. But width most of the times always works with percentage. So that's why we just set percentage for the width. Then we normally do viewport height for the height. So that's just the story of this whole long talk that I've been having. I don't know if I'm making sense so far. Is it making sense so far? Is anybody there? Okay. All right. So I have a to-do wrapper like we talked about. Then let me just remove this border over here. So the next thing that we're going to take a look at is a to-do container. To-do container. So I'm going to put in my container here. So that's the continue where I just did the whole thing to set up fast to-do container. And I can come here and I can do to-do wrapper, then I do to-do container. It's still going to work. I can also avoid writing the first one. Still going to work. So I can just remove this one. I think it's not too necessary. So I'll go to my to-do container and start styling what my container would look like. So for my to-do container, I'll put in some bunch of lorem text inside of it. So let me just do something around 70. I don't want it to be too much. So I'll do 70. Taking a look at it right now, you can see it just, no, this. This is it. Okay, this is it. So I have my to-do container just inside this box. So first thing I want to do is to set the background color of my to-do container to be white. So I can either do in hex code or I'll just put the text as white. So I'm going to do a mix of both. Let me just do hex code. I think that's like a very good practice. So I'll just do white. So this is white in hex code. So if I come to my screen, I'll see that there's a little bit of white around this, my container. Why this other part is that kind of gray. You can see the distinction now that this is a white and there's a gray. So the next thing that I want to do is to set a width on my container. So I can do a width of, let's say 400 pixels. So I'll do the 400 pixels, then let's take a look at it. Good, so this is the 400 pixels width. Now, I don't want to give the height a distinct height. So I want the height to automatically scale with its container. So I'll give the height a auto value so that it's going to work the same way as putting 100%. You understand? But if I put 100% right now inside this height, it's going to assume the height of its parents because it's now inside a div that had a height. Let's take a look at what happens. So if I come here now and put 100% height inside this my to-do container, it's going to assume the height of its parents, and its parent is having a height of the full width, the full viewport. Let's see, it's going to stretch to full that viewport. You can see this is the full height. So it has beat the purpose. Why this first one worked was that it wasn't inside a parent's container. Its parent's container, which you can say is the body, but the body don't have any height. So there's no way it's going to scale to his body because the body is not having any height. You understand? But this time around, the to-do container is inside a wrapper that is having a height of 100 viewport height. So giving it 100% height is going to assume the height of its parents, which is the full height of the viewport. So I don't want that. So I want to give it an automatic height, like take the height of your content. So I'll give it height of auto. So that takes it back to just this container over here. So moving on to further do some little bit of polishing on our container. So we can add, we can add a padding so that there'll be space at the edges. So let's do that. So we'll do a padding of, let's say we'll do 24. So let's say I don't know it's gonna be much. Let's see. All right, so there's a padding top, right, bottom, everywhere, 24 pixels. I'm looking at it and I'm thinking like it's kind of small. So let me increase the width so it's a little bit bigger. So for that, we'll make the width, let's say let's make it 500. Then let's see what it looks like. Okay, it's a little bit stretched than normal. I think it's okay. So let's add something else to our container to make it look fine. So let's add some border radius just to give it a curved edge. So we'll do a border radius. Then we can call border radius. Let's not do too much curve. So I think let's try 10 pixels. Let's see if it's too much or it's manageable. Okay. I don't know if you can see it. I think it's quite visible. You can see the curve. Let me take it back to 100. Yeah, this is the curved edge. So I think for the purpose of, for the viewing pleasure and clarity of what we are doing, let me quickly put a bit of soft border around my container. So let me see if this is soft enough. Is it soft enough? I think it's soft enough. Let's see. I think it's soft enough. It even gives it a bit of flair. I think I like it. So now we have border radius. We have our contents inside of it. This is only concept we're working with. It's just a little bit of border for now. And we've done our background on our container, our background on our body. We've done the border just to give it a little bit of flair and everything. So let's see if we can add some box shadow. So just give it some elevation of the ground. So box shadow, I will just allow this guy kind of choose something for me, so that I don't have to think about what the box shadow will look like. So this is the box shadow. Good, good, good. So you can see it's having some bits of elevation of its background. So it's not looking like something that is a little bit elevated from the floor. So I don't know, is anybody feeling the design we're doing so far, or it's not still okay? Let me know what you think before I progress. So what do you think about our design so far?
The design is great. It's fine. It's okay by me.
Okay. Any suggestion on what to do next?
Let's just keep going anyways. I'm still watching. Let's keep going.
All right. Harbin, so what about you?
Yes, everything is fine.
Okay. Gloria, welcome. I guess I just dropped joining us. I hope what we're doing is making sense so far, or is not clear. Just let me know. What do you think?
Yeah, Aja is fine. Yes, sir.
All right, all right. So let's just continue from where we stopped. So the next thing that we need to do now is we have our design. Everything to where we are right now is looking okay. The next thing we need to do is to place this container at the middle of our screen. Let it be somewhere that is kind of like, how will I put it? On the x-axis, which is something like this, it's on 50% at the middle. Then on the y-axis, it's also at the middle as well. So just centrally placed it in the wrapper. So what do we do here? I think we've had this discussion some couple of times. So I'm going to give somebody the opportunity and the privilege to give us an idea of what to do. How do we center our div in the middle of our wrapper? Or how do we center our to-do container in the middle of our wrapper? Who wants to help us out? First of all, before somebody asks, let me ask Gloria. Gloria, what do you think? How do we do that? I know you'll be thinking, like, who asked you to speak in the first place before? But what do you think? Try. No pressure. You cannot try. Okay, let me ask Siri. Siri, what do you think? How do we center our to-do container in the middle of our to-do wrapper?
Okay, I'll just pass the mic to Binta. I think Binta can help us.
What's that one? Cyril, please mind yourself.
Okay. Okay. Siri, try. Let me see what you can do. Siri, you cannot take again. I fall in my
Binta
hand.
will help us. I'm trying to check one or two here. Binta will help us.
Okay, what about Queen B? Hello, Queen.
I don't know. I think I'll try something like display flex or so.
Okay. I think that's a good hint. That's a very, very good hint. Gloria, are you back? What do you think? Okay, I think Gloria has boosted us. So, Binta, what do you think? They're calling upon you as the savior.
I don't mind Cyril. So the display will be set to flex, that's for the container.
I think
Then flex direction. The display is flex, that's for the container.
okay.
Then the flex, the I don't know if it's necessary to add flex direction though. You can put flex direction, either column or row, depending on what you want.
Okay.
Then justify content, move it to the center.
All right. So let's do something. So I'm going to censor it in two ways. So the first way I'm going to do it, it's going to be non-flex way. I'm going to try a flex way. So let's just try the non-flex way and see how that is going to be done. So for the non-flex way, first of all, we'll come to our wrapper and we'll give it a position of relative. We give it a position of relative. Then we'll go to our container, we'll give it a position of absolute. This is not what we're going to use, but I want to show you other ways in terms of where you can center something. So take a look at what we have right now. Nothing has changed from what we just did. So we need to now move it to where we want it to be. So we're going to say top 50% means that come down from the top 50%. Then the left, come from the left 50%. So let's see what that will do for now. It's not going to give us a perfect position. You can see this is not the center placed, not a perfect position. So we're going to make use of translate to adjust it back to the center. So let's do that. So I already have the code that is already popping up for me, but because I know what I need to do, so that is why I can just enter it. So I'm going to make use of transform. So this transform still works like they will be doing margins and the other things. So this translates here. On a normal day, I can do translates on the x-axis, just like this. That means I want to adjust it only on the x-axis. And I'll do the opposite of the top. So the top is 50%. So the opposite will be minus 50. You understand? I don't want to do y yet. So that will be minus 50%. So if I take a look at what I have here, you can see it has kind of adjusted on the x-axis. It's not like at the middle of the screen, but not at the middle on the y-axis yet. So I said, okay, fine. I want to replace x now with a y, capital Y. You can see it has adjusted on the y-axis, but not on the x-axis. So I can't do an xy. There's no xy. I can do an x like this, copy it, and I'll do a y, something like this. You understand? I think this should work. Let's take a look at it. So this works to give me a perfect middle. But because of how CSS is making things easy, shortcut and everything, we can be able to remove one and just remove the X it assumes both direction, X and Y. So the first value becomes the X and the second value becomes the Y. So we don't need to do translate X and translate Y. We just do it translates and we have X value and Y value. So taking a look at our screen now, we have a perfectly placed to-do container in the middle of our to-do wrapper. So this is one way where you get to do a centrally placed div. Then let's do the second way. Let's try the second way. So we're going to comment all of these that we added. It goes back to the edge. Then how do we move it now? Let's try the flex way. I like it this way. The flex way is also better as well. So it depends on what you like. So for the flex way, we are going to go to our parents. So apply flex on our parents so it can flex the child. So in this case, the child is the container. So we're going to add a flex on our parents. So to use that flex on the parents to control how the child is going to look like. So add the flex here. So let's see what a regular flex will even do when added. It's already giving me a full height already. Okay, let's continue adding the flex. Let's see what will happen if it will be like this or to be better. All right, so we have our flex. So the next thing we need to do is that we need to do a justify. So let me explain things on the flex. So for flex, we have, let me do some comments. Sorry, this is now you do comments in JS. I don't like these are comments. So for the sake of this teaching that I'm about to do real quick, I'm going to just do it on HTML. Pardon me. So for flex, we have flex as an entity. I think I sent a PDF around this the last time I held a class. I know that most of you don't like reading PDF these days, but please try and do that. It helps a lot. So we have flexbox. So for flexbox, we also have grid, but let's leave grid for now. So we have something that we call the flex direction. So for flex direction, it can either be a row or a column. Row means that I want my flex to move on a row, just like this. Now, if I change that row to a column, everything moves on the y-axis. So if I say I want to flex items, those items will flex on the row. If I don't set a direction, by default, they all flex on a row. But if I want to set a direction, I can specifically set that direction to go to a column movement or a column direction, and everything starts coming down. So those are the two flex direction we have. Either it's flexing on the row or flexing on the column level. So aside the flex direction, we have something that we call flex wrap as well. So for the flex wrap, you can start to say, okay, if I apply a flex wrap to a parent, it will mean that the flex wrap means that if that items inside that parent is very long and it gets to the edge, it's going to wrap and continue on the next line. That's what the flex wrap means. That means if I'm having items stacked up row by row, and it gets to the edge of the screen, because I added a flex wrap, it's going to come down and continue on the next line. But if I say no wrap, it's going to start managing that space to the last of what it can manage, and it will never wrap. So that's what the flex wrap and flex no wrap does. Then we have another concept which is called we have a justify. So we can say justify content. So justify content is just about arrangements. How do we arrange these particular items inside that parent? Do I want to make them start from the starting? I'll do a flex start. Do I want to make them start from the end? I'll shift them, I'll do a flex end. Do I want to make them start from the center? I'll do a center. Do I want to make them have space in between themselves? I'll do a space between. Do I want to make them have space around? I'll do a space around. So the best way to see these things is just to like practice with it. You understand? I might do a little bit of short demo quickly, but I'm trying to buy time. We're already after 4, so time is already fast spent. So I have my aligned items over here too as well. So this also works similar to the justified content. But enough of the branching. I gave you this PDF already that I gave you on that CSS. So please try and read it. Everything you need is there. Everything. So it's going to help you a lot. Let me just go ahead and do my display over here. Let's see if it will work still. So I have my justify. Because I want to place this container at the center, I'll do a justify content of center. And I want to place it, that is, so the content means I'm placing it on the x-axis center, and the align item means I'm placing it on the y-axis center. So I might not set my flex direction because by default it is row. But I can set it just to show you, you understand? Or I can set to leave it out. It doesn't really matter. So because I only have one parent, one child inside that container, which is the product container, I don't need to set wrap or no wrap. I can just leave it behind. So I can also afford to leave direction because it's automatically going to be a row. So no need to do that. So let's take a look at what we have. Sorry here. So you can see perfectly placed at the center without having to write position and top and translate and transform. Which of these two strategies do you think is easier and makes some good sense? Siri, what do you think?
Personally, this second one looks better, but that first one is more professional. That's how I see it. I don't know.
What do you think, Queen? Oh, okay. What do you think, Queen? Hello, are you there? All right, so let me just let me keep at it because of time. So now that we've placed our container at the middle, so for the sake of, let me say, comments and documentation, I'll just leave this setup here. I don't want to remove it. I'll just leave it there. Let me just remove the space. So the next thing that we need to do is that we need to set a title. So we'll just call it to do title. Then we'll call it, let's give the name of the app. So we'll say to do app. So I like having some bits of structure on my code. So I'll put some comments here too as well. So I'll say to do title. Let me just say top title. I'll say top area title. Let's just leave it like this. Let's not overthink it. So top area title. So we'll do another comment. Say this area is let's say the input section. We're going to input our to-do item. Then we want to have another section we're going to call, let's say we have a section where we can do a search. We want to search our to-do list that we've created. So we have a search section. We have another section that shows our to-do list. So we say to-do list section. All right, good. So we have the input section, the search section, to-do list section. So let's just put some divs around those areas. So the first div we're going to do an input section. Good. So we're going to do another search section. Then I'm going to do the last one, which is a to-do list. To-do list section. Good. So we have all our sections we need written out. Let's take a look at our to-do app type. So let's do a little bit of style around it. So you can see it's just there. It's not looking any difference from what we have here. It needs to be different. So for us to style that, we'll just take let's just do something that is nice. We're going to go with to-do container, to-do wrapper, then we'll go to to-do title. I didn't do the first one this way, but let's just try and maintain some good practice. So we don't want to make the text to be on the center. Let's just be able to write it ourselves. So for the sake of semantics, I think we should just make use of some H tags here. So make use of, let's say, H2. I don't want it to be too big, so let's make use of H2. So we can, let's look at what H2 would do. Good. So H2 is already doing so much work for us. So do app. I think that's okay. I think it's okay. I don't want to do so much around that area. Let's say we're just changing the color. Let's make the color to be something that is not black. Let's say we're using something like it's seal. Let's say it's seal. I think it's seal is okay, but I want the seal to be a little bit of dark teal. So I'll just make it something dark. Let's see. Why is it not showing? No, let me just remove these others. Let's just target the item itself. Let me confirm. I think that color is showing, but because it's kind of like black, it's not entering my eye well. Let me confirm if it's showing. Yeah, it's showing. Let me see if that was the case when I had all this. So let me make it something that shows up well. Yeah, so it was. Don't think it was showing before. You know what? Let us remove it back and maintain that particular class. Then take it to show something better. Okay, I think it's showing. It's not just all black like before. This is just me playing around with it, so no big deal. So I'm going to give it a bottom margin so you can breathe. So I'll say bottom margin. I'll give it something like around 20 pixels. Okay, that gives it a little bit of stretch. I think that's cool. Let me just make it 24 so that it will have a lot of air to breathe. Now we have 24 different formats to do app. The next thing that we need to do right now is to add our input section. So we can just afford to remove this. It's no longer necessary anymore. Now we have this to do app. And I think I like the idea of having this text content. It just gives it some bit of content, like we're doing something. So let's just leave it for now until we have the full content ready. So for the first thing that we're going to do something around inputs. For the input section, this is the section that I'm going to add items to it. You're going to add your items. So we're going to need an input. We'll make use of a text input. So for you to do a text input, if you do an input here, if you add an input here, you can scroll down and look for the one that has column text. This is it here, column text. So if you click on column text, it's going to just give you a direct input text just like this. Probably we'll make use of this for now. We'll make use of it, but let's just remove it for now. Let's come back to that one. We're doing something around that area. So we'll add a placeholder, something that tells the user, enter your task, enter a new to-do item, or enter a new task. Let's leave it like that. Enter a new task, we'll put dots just to be playful around it. So let's take a look at what we have. So we have one funny looking input feed here that is not looking very, very fine, but still looking okay. We're going to style it to make it attractive. So what do we have on the call now? Siri, just Siri, what happened to the guys? Okay, Gloria, Siri has gone out. All right, so let me just continue. I'm going to watch the videos nevertheless. So we're going to have a to-do app. So for the to-do app, we'll have a input field over here. So the input field will just scale across this container area. So let's just style that right now. Just select your inputs section. So the input section, we have an input field here. We're going to add a button. So the button will help us style how the button is going to look like. So this bit here is going to help us tell how the button is going to look like. So if we come here now and we do, let's say, add task as the action. Sorry, let me just add task as the action. So this is what's going to show up on the button when you click on it, when you kind of view it. Then let's add a class. So this class is what we're going to use to style our inputs field. So we'll just give it a, let's call it task inputs. These are just naming that we'll just give to our elements. They're not like, it's not very, very necessary to do it the same way I'm doing it. Just call it something that you can afford to style. So we'll do it task inputs. So for that, I think this particular styling we have here is okay. Or it's just that you cannot do this in HTML yet, so we just, let me try something. I think it's more something around this. I'll try and see. Let me try and see if it works. Yeah, it works. So this specifies that the child in this parent. So this is what I'll possibly have done over here. But nevertheless, let me just continue. So I think I need to also style this input section specifically. So I'll go to my input section, copy it here. I'm going to give it a flex and a row flex. So I'm going to say display flex. I want to make it justify between, so that it's going to stretch and get to the full edge of that width. So I'm doing something around justify. So for justify items, I'll do space between. That means everything is going to get to the edge. It's going to accommodate all the possible space, both the input field, both this input field here and the button are going to stretch to the edge. So let's take a look at what we have. So this gap here means that even though they are stretching to the edge, let there be a space between it. So let me just comment it out. Let's see what it looks like before the gap. Then we'll place back the gap and take a look at what it looks like. So you can see we have our input feed stretched down to the edge with the button on the same line. But you can see it's kind of compressing, they're compressing themselves. So we need to have a space between the inputs and the button. So we'll come here and just introduce our gap that we removed before. You can see there's now a looking space. So let's maintain pixels. Like, I don't want to use rem right now. Since we're using pixels so far, let's just continue using pixels so far. So we'll come to our gap. Let's say we're having a gap of, let me say, 8 pixels. Let me see how 8 pixels looks like. Okay, I think 8 pixels is looking good. But let me just make it a little bit bigger. So let me make it 10. All right, 10 is quite okay. So on our input section, I want to add a margin so that there could be space between this input area and this bottom text. So I'll come here and I'll add a margin bottom. So I'll make this, let's say, 14 pixels. I'll just test it. Okay, I think it's quite okay. It's not too much. I don't want it to be too much at all. So I'll just make this, I think it's okay. Yeah, I think it's okay. So let's come to our inputs and apply some bits of nice styling here and there. So on our task input, we've already given it a flex of 1. So I'll give it a padding of, let's say a padding of, let's say we do 6 pixels. Let's just see what 6 pixels look like. I think kind of small. Let's make it 10 pixels. Let's see. Okay, 10 pixels is quite big, bigger than normal. But I think I want it to be more bigger, to be way bigger than that. So let's just do a 16 and see. Oops, 16 is big. Sorry, let's just make it 14. I'm just playing around the numbers so I get to see what works best. Okay, I think it's okay. I think we're looking okay. Then, what now we need to do, we have our border, which is quite okay. Our border radius of 4 pixels. I don't think it's sharp enough, so we're going to make it 8. I think 8 is sharp enough. So the next thing that we need to do right now is let's add some bits of font size to our inputs. So we're going to go font size of, let's see what 14 looks like. Okay, I think 14 is quite big. 14 is quite big. Okay, I think it's fine. We're just doing some little bit of play around. So there's something that we need to do on our test inputs. Let us leave that. We're going to do that for now. So let's go and style our button. So our button is inside the input section as well. So we'll copy our input section, paste it here. Then we'll target our button, which is bitsend class. So for that, we'll give our button a background of, remember that sea color I talked about? So we'll just select that sea color. I think it's a bit light, so we'll make it a bit dark, something around this color. Yeah, something around this color. So we'll make it that color. Then we'll give our content, that's the text, a white color. We'll remove the border on our button. We'll check for outlines and remove outlines too on our buttons. This is like resetting the buttons to a proper default looks. So for our padding, which is 14 pixels, so we're going to make our padding to be 14 pixels of height so that it matches our inputs. Then we can make the x-axis to be, because the first one is the y-axis, which is 14. Second one is going to be the x-axis. We can make this bigger too by giving it 24 pixels of height. We're going to take a look at what we have now and confirm if we need to change the font size. All right, good. So the font size is looking okay. I don't think we need to change it. I think it's looking okay. Let's just make it work with what we have here. So let's just put that. I think we added a border radius of 8. Let's do the same thing to our button. So we have a very good looking, I think this is big. Sorry, let me just make this button to be 12. Let's see. Too small. Let's try 13. I think the thing is looking okay. So you guys are back. Welcome back. Hope you are still catching what I'm doing so far.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
All right, thanks. So this is what we've done so far. We've done an input section that has an input for a task. And we added a button that you can interact and click on to do certain things. So the next thing that we need to do, we need to add a search. Just a search input. When you click on the search, you can input something and you can filter through your to-do items. So we'll just add a search. So this is our search section that we've created so far. So we can afford to copy our text inputs, our text input here, paste it here. We'll change the placeholder to search task. Let's call it that. Let's not do so much. So we say search task, and we can make the type to be a search type. Then for the class, we can set this to a search task inputs, just to make it a bit different from what we had before. So we're going to style our search section, which is this. We're going to style our search section, which is this section over here, search section. We'll come here and I'll do search section. Then I want to do a little bit of styling there. Because it's only one, because it's going to be having only one child, so I don't need to do flex on it, you understand? So I can just come and target that I want to add the margins to it. That's the first thing I want to do. So I'll do a margin bottom of, the first one I did was 24, sorry, it was 14 pixels. I want this one to be bigger, so I'll do it 24 pixels. So I'll do 24 pixels of my search section. Then after 24 pixels, I'm going to do my search section. I'm going to take a look at it now and see it's already having good space. I think it's even too small, but I want it to be distinct from the body. Very, very distinct from the body. Okay, I think it has come down a bit. Let me confirm by the time I'm done with my search inputs. So I'll come down here and I'll do search section, search task inputs. Let me see. I want to copy the task input styling that I did here. I think I'll need to just work with that for the sake of time. I'll paste it here. Let's take a look at what we have. So we have a search task, but unfortunately, it didn't get to the edge. So for us to figure that one out, you can just easily come here and do a width of 100%. So this takes it to the full width of the container. The other thing that we can do, I think there's a particular thing called flex grow or something. Let me just text this out and see if it works. There's flex grow, flex basis. Let me confirm flex basis of, do we do 100%? Let's see. Let me just see flex basis of 1. Anyway, let me just, I hardly make use of those things. I'm not trying to play around with it to see what works. So let's just remove this. So we have 100%, which we didn't have to do flex because it's automatically flex. There's only one item in the parent, so it doesn't have to flex. It's just there, and it just assume the full width of its parents. So this is it right now. We have a search text, a search task. We have enter a new task. You can add a task. You can search a task, and it searches. We can put a button here so that by the time you type and you click on search, it searches it. Or we can also do just as our searching is filtering. So our searching is filtering. So regardless of what you want to do, either ways is fine. So the next thing that I want to take a look at is the body of the task itself. So let's just start that real quick. I think we have some couple of about 32 minutes more. So let's drop the body right now. So we have a to-do list section, and we're going to create a UL tags. We can create a UL tag. I don't want to do a UL tag. UL tag is too common in to-do list. Let's go do certain things outside the box. Let's play around with something. So let's do a div instead of a UL tag. So do a div. So before we do that div, let's just put something in the div. Let's call the div. I don't want to give it a number. Let me just put some certain style to it. So I'll come here and I'll say, inside this URL, let me style it and say class of, this is the to-do items that's going to be inside the to-do list. So to-do item. So inside this to-do item, I have, I'm going to have a section that is going to contain, let me just say, I'm going to contain my to-do data. I'm going to have a to-do data section, and I'm going to have a to-do option section. When I put content there, I'm going to see what I mean. So let me just copy this and do a bit of styling around it. So I'll paste this here. I don't need to do a margin bottom, so I don't need to have all of this. Let me just open this up. So I want to properly style my to-do item. I think that's what I need more for now. So I'll duplicate this. I want to add a to-do item. Sorry, this is this. I'll do a to-do item, which is the inner item inside of it. And I'll duplicate this one more time. Inside this to-do item, I want to style my to-do data. Sorry, I forgot my full stop. Then I'm going to duplicate this as well. I'm going to change this to option. So I've already written all my selections that I want to start styling right now. So first of all, I targeted this section, targeted the to-do item inside of it. Inside that to-do item, I targeted the to-do data, and I also selected the to-do option as well. So now I can start styling. So for me to style this whole setup, I will just need to come here and do, I want to make this to-do list section to be a flex, display flex, because it's going to be having to-do items, multiple to-do items, which are going to be like children of the parents. But one thing I want to do is I want to change the direction to column so that it can come down and not move to the row. So I set the first direction to the column, and I set the gap to 10 pixels. So the gap means that even though they are coming down, there should be a space between each of them, and that is a 10 pixels gap space. So this is what I want to do for now. I don't want to do too much. So I'll go to my to-do item. And my to-do item is having 2 items inside of it. So I want to flex it just like that to accommodate both sides. So I'll do a display of flex. Then I'll set my justify items to flex between. So it just gets to the far edges. Then I can set my line items to be something around the center. Add, I can add some gaps such that my data is having some separation between my options. So I'll add a gap of, let's just say, 12 pixels. Then I want that my to-do item to have a padding, so to look something, to look matured, not just the way it's looking. So first of all, I want to add a background to it. So I will use the same background I used on the body because I can't use white, if not, it will not show. So I'll put my hashtag at the front of it, then have my background set up here. I can throw in some bit of border radius just to give you that curve look. I'll make it the border radius of 8 pixels. Then I want to make the padding so there can be space around it to look soft. So I'll do a padding of, let's say 14 pixels. We'll test it and see if it makes sense. Then I want to do one, drop in some little bit of shadow, something just very light. I'm going to do it to be light. So I think 10 is too much, so I'll just make it 5. And make this one maybe something around 3. Then I think the black is too black, it will be too dark for me. So I'll make the color a little bit grayish. I don't want it to be too shouty. So what we have now is not going to show so much. So let's put content into our to-do data. So we're going to call this item, let's say, let's call it clean the house. So clean the house is the first item that we need to, that's going to appear on our to-do items where you can clean the house. So we'll come to our to-do data and we're going to do something around there. We'll say, let's set the font size for this to, let's say this will be a 14 pixels. Let's set the color of this to be something around a kind of dark gray, but not very, very dark gray. Let's see, I think this is dark enough. So we'll set this as it is. We don't want to make it bold, just make it simple enough. Then let's go to our to-do option. So our to-do option, this is where you can, we're going to have a delete and remove. Sorry, they're the same thing. Edit, let's say edit and delete instead. Edit and let me just do edit and remove. So edit and remove. We can also have one more. Let me to put that. Let me just put that for the sake of what we need to do. So complete. So where you can click on complete and you can mark that task as done. So this is what we need to just do on our option. We need to have 3 buttons that you can click to complete, edit, and remove. So we'll go here and click on the first button. Let me just follow the option that's already given me so we can be fast. So I come here and I do my remove button. Don't think it's complete. I need to put my quotes here. All right, so we have 3 buttons. So the first one is a complete button, second one is an edit button, and the third one is a remove button. So let's just put button here so it becomes the same. So we'll go back to our to-do option right now. Because we want them to appear on the same line, we need to flex it. So we'll come here, we do a flex. Then automatically the flex row, we don't have to set that. So we will just do a justify items because we want it to come from the end, not from this side. So we can do a flex end. Obviously, we want it to become to appear at the center, so we can do a center placement. We want each of the buttons to have a gap. We'll add a gap of 10 pixels. So if I do it now, it's not going to show so much anything next so far. So what we need to do now, we need to go and style the button, this button that is here. So what do? We can copy everything we have down to do option, paste it here, then go into BTN. I think it's trying to pick out the buttons that I've designed so far. So let's just say we don't need this to appear here. Or you know what, let's make the button of the color of all our buttons to be white. We can either do 3 or do 6. So 1, 2, 3, that's 6. The 3 or the 6 works either ways. So we remove our border. Let's remove our outline still. Remove our outline. Let's make it none. Background color, we can just ignore that for now. We will set it differently. Font size 14 pixels. We're going to set cursor. Bitcn is already cursor by default. It's already a pointer cursor by default. So what we want to do is that we want to come to this our button that we initially styled on the input section. So we want to pick out some couple of paddings that we added here and our radius and I think our font size. Let's just add that to what we have. So we'll paste it here. So we need to confirm and see if this button radius we give it is too much. I think it's too much. Let me just make it 20 for now. Then let's take a look at it. It's still not going to be fine, though, but let's just see what we have. So you can see we have, they're not seeing anything because all the buttons they're not having colors and the content is white. So that's why I'm not seeing anything so far so good. But a little bit of issue here in the sense that my complete, how will I put it now? My content is not coming from the end. It's just kind of closing on the text here. I don't want that to be. So what I have to do here is that I'll go to my to-do item, which covers up everything over here, to-do item. Maybe I style it over here. And I'm going to just give it, let me give it a full width for me to take a look at what's happening. Okay. Don't think that works the way I wanted for it to work. But let me put color on those buttons so we get to see what we're looking at. So you can make some couple of sense for us. Okay, I think the reason is this flex. This is what the space between, not flex between. Because I was seeing that it was showing white. So it was showing white. That means it's not correct. So it's space between and not flex between. So put it back to space between, and you can see it's supposed to get to the edge right now. I don't know why it's still not getting to the edge. Still not getting to the edge. Let's see if we apply our weights now and see what will happen. I'm not sure that's the case though, but let me see. Still not the case. You know what? Let's just move and add. Let's add colors to our buttons. I think the button is even too much because we're having 3 buttons. Imagine if our to-do item is longer, it cannot accommodate so much. So for the sake of me doing what I have to do as fast as possible, so I will just come here and remove the completes for now. But let me just comment it out. So when you are doing your own, you can add it. Or you know what, let me add it. I think I know what I will do. This is just a practice class. I'm going to increase the width to something around 600, such that the width of our container is longer than before. You can see it's longer now. So I need to find a way to move this guy to the edge here. So let's go and do that. So I have my to-do options, which is sitting down somewhere here. And my to-do item is there. So let me try and fix this. I have my flex. So what do we do now? We need to style the colors. So I'm just picking up everything I can possibly pick out. You know what? Let me not pick out so much because it's going to be too much of picking that I'm doing. So I'll just take a look at my complete BTN. I'll pick that alone. Then I'll pick my edit BTN. Forgot my dots. Edit BTN. Then I'll pick out the last one, which is a remove BTN. So right now I need to just set background colors on all of them. So for the delete, for the complete BTN, I need to add, I'm going to give it a color of something that is greenish. So I can go for green. Let me just see how this green looks like. I think, let me just leave it. It's just a practice section. So for my edits, I'll go with something bluish. Then the remove, obviously we get it right, red. So let's take a look at what we have. So we have these three buttons: the complete, the edits, and the remove. So I think this my text is still very small. So let's try to fix that up. So let's just make it 16 and see what it looks like. It's kind of big, it's kind of big. Kind of big. Let me make it 15 instead. I think it's okay. So I'm going to touch down on the color. All right, I think it's okay. So let's just align this guy to the edge. Let's fix that problem to know what's happening. So let me remove justify items. This is supposed to be the culprits. That is the culprit, but the reason why is, let me just do something else. All right, so I think it was justify content and justify items. I think I missed both of them up. So now we have our complete, our three buttons that you can click to say, okay, this task is complete. This task is edit. This task, you remove this task. The battery is kind of low. Let me just remove that. So I don't know, what do you think so far for our design? I think it's not the very best of design, but it's not to the very best of past designs. But so far so good. We've been able to try to work with designs from our head. So what do you think about our design so far, Binta?
Yes, design is beautiful.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, so we won't be able to finish up so far everything that I need to finish up. So let me just quickly, I want to talk about the, it means I'm not going to talk about the DOM manipulation kind of from what we have here, because we didn't quite finish up and time just running us on us as well. So unfortunately, I'll try to prepare something or send the video to the group where you can just watch to get an idea of the DOM manipulation and also event listeners. But this is just like a very quick setup of a to-do app that I wanted us to take a look at. You know, we can do other things like add items to it and it gets to load it up inside this section here. So if I come here now, for example, and I add a second to-do items, this is it. I think this is it. Let me just see. Yeah, this is it. I copy this, I paste, I copy this, I paste it. Then I open the first one. I don't want to change that one. I change this to wash the car. Then I change this to read my book. So you can see I have three items: clean the house, wash the car, read my book. So this is what I have on my to-do list. So what happens when an item is marked as complete? You understand? So what I would do is that I think I will just remove the complete here. I'm going to do something, but when you click on this text here, it automatically marks it as complete, so that it looks like my setup is not breathing properly. Everything is kind of choked up. So I'll just remove this complete here. For some reason, it's not making it look as if it is okay. So I'll just have edit and remove. At least I can manage that. I think it's looking okay on my end though. So I'll just change the edit to the green. That blue was not given. I will just remove this. We have to remove this out. Thank you. So now I have my edits and I have my remove button. So this red is too red for my liking. Just make it a little bit toned down. Yeah, I think this is looking something okay. Then the green, let's tone it down a bit. Let's take a look at what we have. We can manage this, at least showing the text very well. So we have remove and edit, whatever we have there. So what we need to do now is we need to, what do we need to do from here? So let's do something very quick. Let's just take out the remaining. Let's remove the others, because the idea was just to do only one. Then you're going to see what that one looks like. So what happens to our to-do item if somebody marks as done? So there will be a line through that will cut across our to-do item. Somebody marks as done. So we'll come to, we'll add, if somebody marks as done, we'll add this class to it. We'll say to-do item complete. So we'll add this task, this class to to-do data. Somebody mark as done. So let's style this to-do data item. So we'll come down to, let us style it directly here. We don't need to select so much. We'll just put our full stop here. Then we'll do text decoration. Then we'll do a line through. Then we'll set the color to be a little bit faded than the way it was before. So we'll go and collect that color, which is this. Then we'll make it a little bit faded. So we'll put our hash. Then let's thin down the color a bit. So we'll take it up to make it a little bit faded. So let's see what we have. That is if it's complete. So if it's complete, it's going to look like this. I think it's still sharp. I don't want to be very sharp. Let me take it up. You know what, let me just make it important. I don't want it to come and start dragging with me right now. I think it's not looking very light. Let's take it down a bit. All right, let me not do so much around it. So when our item is complete, it will just cancel through. So you can tell that this item is complete. Then you can move on to another one. You can either remove it or edit it, whatever the case may be. Then if you click on it back, it toggles and go back to normal. So this is what your design is going to look like, basically, in terms of what you're going to design on the to-do app. So when it comes to the functionality, this is what, unfortunately, I don't think we'll have so much time to cover up completely. But let's just see what we can get at before 4:55. So let's go to our scripts and bring in our scripts. Now let's start writing some couple of scripts. Let me see who are still here. So Binta, how is it going? How is it going on? And is it making sense? Is it not making sense? Is it clear or is it not clear? What can you say so far?
Okay, I think for this class, I'll have to go and watch the videos because my network is frustrating me. I was coming in and going out. So I missed a lot of things, but I'll go back to it after the class. Thank you.
All right, no problem. So for the first thing that I want to talk about on this class, I will just walk you through a simple event listener as fast as possible. So I'm going to write an event listener on the window. So we're going to say event listener on the window. Let's listen for DOM contents when DOM content has loaded. Sorry. So we're going to write a function over here. So this function is one of those functions. If you are maybe you're around people that write JavaScript, basically we're hearing of callbacks. So this is just a simple callback that we need to write inside our event listener. So we're going to just do a console log quickly. I'm going to say DOM content loaded. So let's see if we get this response on our console. So let's pop up our console. So let me go to my console and load the page. Fortunately, it didn't work. What happened? DOM content loaded. So let me just let me take out the function and put it outside. So let me just say, let me put it outside. Let's see. function, then we're going to do let me put some, let me just try console log instead of it. Let me give it a name. Let me call the function load DOM. Let me just say fetch task, basically, yeah. So fetch task. So I'm going to be fetching tasks with this function. So the task is going to be coming from the local storage that we talked about. So we'll just say fetching task, something like this. So we'll come here and we'll call this function as a callback here. So this is what we're going to do. So let's see if we're going to get this console logged on our console. So let's load and see. Why is it not showing? Or are we not? Let me just put it outside and see what happens. I'm not linking the right scripts. If it don't work out, then I have to go and check my scripts. Possibly I'm not linking the right scripts. So let me see. Oh, I'm working on this script that is outside of the to-do app. It's supposed to be this one. So let me just copy everything I have here. Cut it out, remove this, then paste it here. So it should work now. Let me remove this guy, then load my app again. So you can see I'm fetching the task right now. So this is the first event listener that we're going to do, which is the add event listener on the DOM. We're adding it on the window so that when the window loads, it's going to call this fetch task to fetch task that we have saved on our local storage. So we don't have all of those done yet. So we'll just remove this. These are our first tasks that are going to kind of load our DOM. So the next thing that we need to do is that we need to set up our queries in terms of what we need to target. So first of all, we need to know what the user has typed into the inputs. So for us to do that, we'll set an ID on our inputs and call it task inputs. Then how do we select this? On our scripts, we'll do a const, let's say task inputs. Then we'll do documents dot get elements by ID task inputs. So we're getting the elements by its ID, and its ID is task inputs. So you can get the value of what the user is typing in to the inputs field. They will need to also give an ID to the task so that we'll know when the user has clicked on it, what happens when the user click on it. So we can add an event listener on the button. So we'll give it a task, let's say new task button. This is not like a general name, just a name that I want to just use. So feel free to use your name as much as you like, any name at all as you like. So I have my new task button selected. So something I want to search to as I want to know what happens when users click on the search. So I'll put an ID here and say search task inputs. Fine, that's a nice name. So I'll duplicate this and just change that. Then another one that I want to also make selection of is the to-do list section. So I can be appending item into the parents. So I'll come here, I'll possibly duplicate, then change that as well. Sorry, I don't want to select the class. I want to select the ID. So I will just do to-do lists. Let's just call it to-do lists. Container, I think that's fine. The battery is kind of low. Excuse me, let me plug my system real quick. Let me plug my system real quick. All right, so we selected these IDs. So I'll come here and just paste this here, and I'll just use the same name here as well. So this is the IDs that we need. At least we need these IDs for now to do a proper walkthrough on the app. So what do we have here still? Let me see what we have in the code. Oh, it's my network misbehaving. Anybody see me? Everybody go, please.
I'm here, sir. But your screen is not coming up.
Okay. Coming. I'm working. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you.
All right, so let me just try to wrap up what I was trying to say earlier. I think the network just dropped a bit. I don't know why. Can you see my screen? Please let me know you can see the screen.
You coming up? Okay, it's up now.
Okay, so what I was trying to say earlier is that, first of all, we did a little bit of what event listener look like, where I can select a window and make a listing on what happened when that event occurs. For the events that I selected, there is a DOM content, like when the page loads, call this function. So that's what I selected. So in this case now, I now created some IDs for certain areas of my app, such that I can target each of those selections and do something with it on the JavaScript side. So quickly before we go, I'm not that time in start spend, but I want to just do a click event and we'll see what happens on that click event. So let's do something like this. So we're going to write a function that we're going to say, let's call it function. Let's do undo new item or undo new task. Let's call it undo new task. So we won't do so much here, but we'll just do something quick. Oh, sorry, this guy, yeah. So this is our function that we're going to call, but where do we place the events? So we'll come here and select our new task button. So we'll say new task button. We'll add an event listener just like this. Event listener for a click events that I'm going to call this function. So it means that when somebody clicks this new task button, that will give it an ID over here, this ID. Somebody clicks on it, we are going to call this undo new task function. And this function is going to call a console. Let's do a console call that is going to be new task button clicked. So let's just do that quickly. Then we can just start wrapping up so we don't spend more of the time. So if I come here and click on this button, you can see new task button click. It's telling me I'm clicking it multiple times. So let's do something real quick, which we are going to collect the item from the task inputs and display it on the screen. So somebody enter item in the task input. How do we get to show it on the screen? So what do we do? How do we do that? Let's just do that real quick. So we're going to take the task input dot value. Then we'll just console log that instead of these jargons that are writing here. So just a value will be the task that the person is entering. So let's see what happens. If it works, then we'll call it a day from now. If it doesn't work, we do a little bit of debug and we'll just close up shop from there. So we'll call the first item, let's say wash my car. When you click on add task, you see the value wash my car. If you remove it and you do clean my shoe, and click on add task, you say clean my shoe. So whatever you write, you can write your name. Inter is here. Click on add task, it shows the inter is here. So this is just a little bit of DOM manipulation and event listeners. Time will not permit us to do so much around it for now, but I'm going to try and see if I can get a little bit of videos on YouTube that I can just send so you can watch it. If that is not possible, when we meet on Friday, sorry, we'll meet on Sunday next week, we can review projects and see how we can help you out. But if you have any issue or any question during the week, still let me know. I can take my time, and if I have time, I set up a little bit short call with us to just go through one or two things. If that is not possible, I can help you on WhatsApp and just try and figure out something that can help you out. But this will be the end of our lectures for the program, and we won't have this call to start explaining for 2 hours anymore. It's just to review projects that will be left, and any other help that will be done via WhatsApp. So thank you very much for your time. That brings us to the end of the Frontend program for this session. Thank you very much. Imale, you can go ahead.
Thank you very much, guys. Thank you, Elvis. This has been an enlightening session as usual. And yeah, thank you for your time and everyone that's joined today as well. So yeah, next week, which is the last of this program, we are hoping that everyone is gonna join. So if you have friends that's supposed to be here, please tell them about it. We would also inform people in the group. So thank you guys. And Emmanuel, thank you for your time as well. Take care. Have a lovely week. Bye.